Hi, this is Tasha, the Crafted Kraut. I'm going to be making some gum paste roses today. I'm going to show you step by step how to do those. So we'll put the camera so we can see the mat here. So if I can, hopefully that's a good angle. Okay. So I just have some gum paste here, not some gum paste, this is actually fondant. So I'm going to mix the red fondant and the white fondant just so it'll show up better on this mat. And what I'm going to do is, it's still, I had it in the refrigerator. That's just how I stored it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of warm it up. I had it in the microwave for just a few seconds. I didn't want to get it too warm. So I'm just going to work it in my hands and get it kind of warm. And then I'm going to add this to it. And this actually makes it into gum paste. So I'm going to add this in just, or you don't have to add a ton of it. It kind of changes the texture of the fondant and makes it dry out faster and better. So I will just kind of work this. It's still quite cold. So then I'm just going to take this, and I mean, I don't even measure it out or anything, so I'm just going to make a little divot here. And I'm just going to add some. That should be plenty. This is just for demonstration purposes only anyways, so go ahead and mix it up in there real good. And I have this, here's some of it here. Okay, so what I have is I have my saran wrap to keep my gum paste or my fondant in, to keep it out of the air. And I have my mats. I'm missing my pink. You actually need to use your pink mat, but I have no idea where it's at. So I'm just going to use this mat. It's not really the mat that you should use. And then I'll use this mat as well. So just keep on working it until it's nice and have a tie-dye effect. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to roll it out. Okay, so my fondant is worked and cooled. So I have this, actually this is kind of a cool little board that I got. It's a Wilton board and it spins. So it's kind of a neat mat or a board. So I'm going to put some cornstarch on there and on my hands. Hopefully it won't stick to that. Okay, so I have a mat here to put the flowers under. I don't know if I already said that. I have my small rose and my large roses. I'm just going to stick with the small ones for now. So I have my roller. Actually, so what you're going to do is you're going to take, so here's my, my icing. And I'm just going to take a little bit, and I'm going to make the I'm going to make a cone shape for the rose. So roll it in a ball, and then what you want to do is just roll, keep one hand steady and then roll with the other one, and then you can see it, you know, turn into kind of like a teardrop, I guess. Is it better? Okay, that's a little too much. So you just want to kind of play around with it. I'll show you how you can kind of measure it. You want to keep this nice and covered so it doesn't dry out. So again, I'm going to roll it into a little ball, and then I'm going to take one side and I'm just going to roll it flat. So kind of like so. It doesn't have to be perfect. We zoom in so you can see. Okay, so it's kind of the base, so you want it to look kind of like a teardrop. I could actually make it a little smaller than that, a little thinner, which I think I might. So again, you just have to kind of play around with it. And once you do this once or twice, you'll kind of get a feel for it. Okay, so I'm making the small rose, so you know, you kind of want it to be small. And kind of to give you a guide, if you have one of these, you know, just kind of see if how it matches in there. Okay, so this will be my base. So I'm going to leave it here. Okay. Now I'm going to roll out a piece of the gum paste. Now for this particular one, okay, roll it out nice and thin. Now I'm just going to use one part of my cutter. I just need one of the petals, right? So I'm going to cut that, and then I'm just going to cut it kind of to a point down here. Okay, my board's not as non-stick as I would like it, but it'll be all right. Okay, so I'm going to take my mat, and I'm going to take my roller. Again, the gum paste that you're not using, make sure you keep it wrapped. Okay. So now you take your tool, and I'm really not crazy about this Wilton tool because it has a seam right in the middle of in the ball. So I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. But so you just want to thin out the edges. So you can kind of hold it like a pencil or a pen and go around. You want the edges kind of thin, and you kind of want to be halfway on the pedal and halfway on the mat. Okay. You don't want to do it, you know, you don't want to get it too thin, so just go down the middle a little bit. Now you're going to take this pedal and you're going to wrap it around your rose here. So it kind of looks like a rosebud, like so. Okay, so you're going to set that aside. Now you're going to get more gum paste. Wrap it. Okay, now you need 3 sets. You need 3 sets of this fondant cutter, or of the rose cutter. I'm going to try to put some more cornstarch down. I want this to come up pretty easily. Okay. But I don't want to dry out my fondant too much. Okay. So you want to get this really thin, because roses, the real ones, are very, very thin. The petals are very delicate and very thin, so you just roll it. You can flip it. Just keep rolling it so it's nice and thin. Actually working pretty good on this little board here. Okay, so it's thin, so you want it as thin as you can possibly get it without it really tearing. Okay, I'll just move it around. All right, so you need 3 sets of your rose cutter. Hopefully I can get the 3 sets out of here. Okay. Thanks. All right. So you want to put these, once they're cut, so thin. All right, once they're cut, you want to put them under your mat so that they don't dry out. Or you could just put it under saran wrap. You just want to make sure you have it protected from the air so it doesn't dry out. Okay. So there's one. This did not cut very well. So I'm going to try to cut it over it again. It's not a very clean cut. So cover that one and I'll roll it out again. I don't know if this board's uneven or it's not cutting right, but just have to push down harder. Okay, again. If you have a pasta roller, or a pasta machine or attachment, you can put your fondant through there and it'll come out nice and even. I have to eventually get one for my KitchenAid mixer. Okay. So you want to make sure it doesn't stick to your mat or to your roller. Okay, that's pretty thin. Okay. All right, I'm going to try it again. Now I'm going to try to push a little harder, make sure it comes out. All right, that's a little bit better. I wonder why. Okay. All right, so here's one. We're going to put that one under the mat. Okay, and then we have this one. One didn't cut as clean, but it's okay. Okay, so, all right. So I'm going to take my petals. So you can put it on here. You can do this a few different ways. You want them really thin, you want the petals really thin, and to kind of create the kind of ribbony effect, you can actually take your fingers and kind of pinch it, because the roses aren't perfectly oval. So you can just kind of pinch the edges and make the edges a little more curved. You can also use a toothpick to do that. I've never done that. So you just do this. And then we're still going to use our ball tool and we're going to go around. Okay. So our ball tool, make sure it's not sticky. And you're going to just go around the edges until they kind of curl up. So you want nice, delicate little edges. And then you can actually, to dry these, you can do a few different things. I actually like to use a deviled egg container that I use for deviled eggs. Or actually, I'm sorry, with these, all the leaves are together, all the petals are together, so I actually need to use more like a cupcake holder. Okay. So you would use your pink mat here, but I don't have a pink mat. I don't know where it's at. And earlier when I made this little piece, you can actually, if you want to put a wire on the flower, you can actually put it into here. So you dip it into some water and make like a little question mark on the end, and then you'll stick it into here, and then you'll have to let it dry. Okay, so we have this. You just want to kind of make them. Okay. So now you have your flower. I'm going to try to line it up so that the first petal kind of covers that that single petal that we put on there. And my fondant is actually kind of moist right now, so I don't even know if I need any water. So you're going to go around like this, and they're going to kind of overlap. I'll need some, actually we'll need some water. Okay, so you want to overlap it. And then the last one, you're going to overlap and tuck under. So you're going to tuck it, okay, now you're going to overlap it and you're going to tuck it under the first petal. So it's like so. Oops. And then you can kind of, make them bow down. And then you'll do separate layers. So we'll do 3 more layers of that. Okay, so we'll get our next one. Thanks. All right. And again, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to use your ball tool and you're going to go around the edges, make it nice and thin, and make them kind of curled up. Make sure they don't stick together. Just make sure you don't make it too thin where the gum paste or fondant tears. So there's a fine line. And again, you want the ball tool to kind of be half on the gum paste and half on your mat. And that'll create the kind of ribbony edges. Oh man, see, that just ripped. But it's okay. Sometimes flowers are ripped. So you just want to be careful. Okay, so these are about good. So I'm going to flop it over upside down onto my, it should be a pink mat. Kind of go in the middle here. Make sure your tools are not sticky. Just kind of go down in the center of each petal. So it kind of creates like a little dish. Okay. All right. So now we're going to do our next layer. And again, you kind of want your layers to, you want each corner to cover a corner. You don't need much water. So I'm just going to kind of, I didn't think ahead. I should have gotten a little dish with some water. Well, so you just want to add some water. You don't want it a lot because you don't want it to be gummy sticky. Okay, so again, you're going to cover so that each petal is going to cover one of the crossed over petals. The last one is going to go under the first one and over the second to the last one. So about like so. And then of course when you have them dry, you want them in something that will hold its shape. So for right now I'm just going to put it in here. You can put it in something else later, something a little deeper. All right, we'll get our last one, our last rose petal. And usually you do this with white, and then you would use luster dust to color your roses. So you would use pink luster dust or red luster dust. And I'll show you, I'll still add luster dust to these to add a little depth to it. On the wrong mat. You actually want to do this on the thin mat, but actually it looks kind of pretty on this one. Alright. I'll have to go get something to put this rose in. Again, you could put this in a cupcake container. That would actually hold it pretty good. A small cup. Just something so that it will keep its, it'll help form its shape while it's drying. Alright, so these need to be a little more ruffly. Oops, again, that one tore, but it's okay. All right. Now on this one, trying to look for my little pointed tool, but I'm just going to use the end of this paintbrush and kind of roll them. So they're kind of rolled up a little bit. This one is going to be the last one on your petal, on your roses. So we'll add a little extra flair to it. All right. Hopefully this will kind of stay while they dry. All right, so we got that. So we're going to flip it over. We're going to use our ball tool. We're going to go through the center of them so that they kind of open up. Okay, so here is my rose. Oops. I need a little water again. Again, you don't want much, so I'm just going to go around the edge of each petal. Actually, I see a dish that would be perfect for this rose. All right. And now you're going to take your petals and you're going to cross over each one again so that it covers one of the overlapping petals. It's actually easier if you can do it upside down. Okay, and this last one goes under the first one, like so. All right, so here's your flower. Probably not the best dish for it, but so you can put it in here to dry. You can put things underneath it to hold it in place. I'll be right back. Okay, so probably better in this little dish. All right, so I'm going to kind of open up the petals a little bit. And again, I mean, you could put saran wrap under some of these to, you know, keep them up. It's kind of a rose. If you hang it upside down to dry, you know, they'll close better. But it's, you know, you can do these roses so many different ways. So I don't know if this will show up yet because the roses are still, the fondant's still wet. But so I have like a red kind of luster dust. So you can kind of go in between. Just kind of, you know, do it however you want. You can add it, you don't have to add it, you can do it in between. Alrighty. And again, you can put stuff in between here so that when it dries, it has more of a shape. But that's your basic rose. Actually not that hard to make. So I'll show you how it would look. So you take some saran wrap, it's actually the best stuff to use because it actually will come off. So I want to put it here to keep this kind of up. I'll put a little piece right there. If you want to make the rose bigger, just add more layers. You can add more layers. You can use the larger. Oops. You can use the larger petal cutters to make the larger ones for the more outer edges. Okay. So it looks nice. It's a pretty little rose. Oops. Alright, so there you go. That's the rose. And once it dries, you can take out the saran wrap and those petals will stay exactly the way they dried. And you can do whatever colors you want. I would stick with a white base. Again, I just did this one pink for just to show you guys how to make them. So you do white and then you can paint them whatever color you want with the luster dust. You can add a little yellow, you can add red or pink. And it really makes the flower pop more because you're just kind of highlighting it instead of the whole thing being one color. Thanks for watching.